guys, Chris from Hockey Tutorial here, and today we're going to be taking a look at these, the Catalyst 9 skates from True Hockey. In this video we're going to be summarizing what our experience has been like in these skates. These are actually Tommy's skates, I've got mine on right now. We're going to be giving you some feedback on what the fit, the comfort, the performance, and just our general experience has been like in the True skates. This is a brand of skates that we've not technically featured on the channel in a very long time, before the acquisition when they were VH skates. So we're very excited to see the changes that have been made to these brand new skates and how they stand up against some of the other skates that you're typically used to seeing on the channel. Just to mention, the Catalyst 9 is one of two of True Hockey's families of skates, and these particular skates are essentially the top spec from a retail perspective. The skate above this is the Catalyst Pro, which is a custom skate, and that's going to come in a separate video when we look at both of the skates that True offers from a custom perspective. But let's jump into it. And of course guys, before we jump into the video, make sure that you thumbs up and subscribe, and also comment down below and let us know what skates you want us to feature next. We're going to be looking at pretty much the whole of True's ranges of skates from both of the families that they offer, and giving you comparisons against them to some of the other manufacturers that you typically see on the channel. But let us know what VS videos you want to see down below in the comment section, and any other skate videos you'd like to see as well.
Right, so today we are looking at the Catalyst 9 True retail skates. I've never worn a pair of True skates before. This is my third time using these boots. So this is the first time I've used them properly for a solid period of time, and actually been able to get a good review on how they feel and how I like them. Jumping straight into that, comfort. That's the most important part of a skate, is making sure your foot's comfortable, and I have no complaints. These are actually completely different to what I normally use. Completely different. These are less foam but quite dense, and it's actually really nice. I didn't think I'd like it, but I can't complain. I didn't have any pain in my ankle. I felt my ankle was quite padded. It felt quite protective. And going into the next aspect is how stiff they are. I really like a stiff boot. The boots I'm using now, I actually made them extra stiff because I just like my boots like that. And I would say these are really, really close, or if not the same as those. And that's saying something. And I know if obviously you watch the videos, you know what skates I'm talking about.
And they're custom.
And they are custom, and these are retail, which is a massive thing. I mean, you can just see how solid they are. It's really hard to squeeze them in, and that's a big deal for me. One thing that is also completely different to my skates I'm using now is the tendon. The tendon is quite solid. It's almost like right on the back of your foot. I'm used to like a flexible tendon, but this is, I think Chris said this is a slightly flexible tendon, but it's quite stiff. And you know what, I didn't mind it. I felt it was okay. It was obviously different, but it's not bad. Also, I found out not maybe an hour ago you were meant to bake these. I haven't done that. So for me to not be able to bake them and they're still quite comfortable is a really big thing. I mean, I've only been able to do that with one other pair of boots in my whole 12 years of playing hockey. So that is a big thing. Maybe I go back and I bake them and see how they feel. Maybe they feel really nice, or even better than they were today. Design-wise, I'm going to be honest, it's not a bit of me. I don't like the mixture of the chrome and the yellow. Personally, the design I just don't like. But that's nothing on how the boot performs or how it feels. It's still a very nice skate. I'm just not a fan of the design. So just to touch on the one downfall of these skates, the one problem I had with them would be the tongue. I like my tongue to hang over my shin pad to sort of, I just don't like how they feel underneath my shin pad. I think it's too stiff, and I like to have a bit of movement in my ankle. And obviously I'm basing the review on how the boot comes out of the box. That's what we do on Hockey Tutorial. We base it how they come. But obviously these are changeable tongues. You can replace them and put in a comfortable tongue that fits your style of game. So obviously maybe if, you know, Chris manages to get me a different pair of tongues, maybe I'll try them out.
See what we
can see what we can do. But I did really like them. That is the one downfall about them, is the tongue. I can't get on with it, purely for the fact of it's too small. I mean, look, the tendon comes higher than the tongue. That's meant to be the other way around for me. I don't like that. But that is the one downfall of these whole skates. I think they are really nice. I think they have great potential, but I need to change the tongue because they are changeable. But I mean, once you get used to it, they're going to be a solid pair of boots.
So now, taking a look at the Catalyst 9 from True. This is extremely different for me because the last time I looked at those skates is when they were VH. And I had 4 or 5 pairs of those skates. I really, really loved them and then moved away from them shortly after the acquisition. And I hadn't looked at True since. So I've been very keen to take a look at their retail skates. And of course, before you guys ask, custom is coming soon. Now, with these skates, first things first, it is a completely different shape to any of the other skates you typically see on the channel. So your Bauers, your CCMs, these skates are a lot more anatomically shaped. When you look at the structure of the boot, even from this distance, you can see how it really cuts into the shape of the human foot, whereas a traditional pair of hockey skates from some of the other manufacturers, it's a lot more of a generic kind of like U shape when you look at the back of the skate. These are extremely anatomical. Now, what you get with that is when you take the skates out of the box, it is an extremely snug fit, not tight, not uncomfortable. You can just feel the skate is in contact with your foot everywhere that you would want it to be in contact with your foot. What that results in is you being able to really control your body and the way that you skate when you're on the ice. That's the thing that I noticed immediately, and this was prior to me baking the skates. When you bake them, it's a completely different experience. I'm gonna say that the out-the-box fit of these retail Cat 9 skates is gonna be very closely comparable to some custom skates when you bake them, and these are retail, so that's a really big statement. The fit of these skates is definitely in the top tier without a question of a doubt. Now, something that takes a bit of adjusting to is when you look at the overall structure of the skate, especially the neck of the skate, most skates, if I use my hands as the example, look like this when you look at the top. The Trues look like this. They really wrap around your foot. Now, this isn't something that you have to stick with. If you bake the skates, you can actually open that up so it sits more like a regular hockey skate from another manufacturer, if that's what you prefer. But this fit is something you have to adjust to, but when you do, it feels incredibly great on the ice. Now, looking at the general comfort, that leads really nicely onto that. I personally didn't experience any sore spots, any pressure points inside the skate. The only area that I felt a little bit of discomfort after a 6-hour filming session was my high arch area. I have quite a high arch, so when I'm in skates, I like to have a footbed that supports that. I hadn't at that point changed the footbeds that these skates have generically out of the box. They have different inserts you can use in the footbeds. If you have a high arch, a low arch, you can correct that. That's not something that I did. That was one of my first times having the skates on for such a long duration of time. 6 hours in one day is a lot of skating. So that kind of let me feel everything I wanted to feel inside the skate to kind of identify what areas of it I didn't like or didn't work for me. But after switching out the arch support just so it fitted my particular type of foot shape, no issues there whatsoever. And another part of the skate that I've seen some comments of online is the neck of the skate and how True hockey skates don't have a comfort edge, but the liner inside the boot actually extends to the full top or the neck of the skate, which means although it doesn't technically have a comfort edge that wraps over, this isn't something that I've been able to feel when I'm on the ice. The liners extend high enough so you don't really require a specific custom edge to wrap around the top and the outside of the boot, but that's my experience. Now again, just reiterating what Tommy said, the foams inside these skates are definitely something that you notice that are different from the other manufacturers that are out there. From a retail level, you normally expect foams to be quite bulky inside the skate, quite soft and squishy. These are a lot more dense. You can feel that if you get 2 different manufacturer skates, one True, one another manufacturer, and then squeeze the insides, you can really feel that the True foams are dense. I feel like from the perspective of the amount of time I've spent in these skates already, it's again an adjustment period, but it's not discomfort. It's incredibly comfortable. The only area of the skates that I had definitely discomfort, not something that kind of annoyed me that was annoying in general, was the tongues. Same as Tommy, they're just a bit too thin, a bit too short, but like Tommy said, you can switch them out. I'm keen to get some of their other thicker tongues to see how those perform in comparison to this. That's kind of been the only area of the skate that I wasn't happy with. In terms of, again, other places that I'd love to see a little bit of changes with the tendons, I'd like it to be a little bit more flexible. You guys know since the days of the MLX, the VH skates, even some ultrasonic skates from Bauer and also from CCM, all have flexible tendons. I'm a big fan of a very flexible tendon. This, you have to kind of work a little bit harder to get your stride in if you want to get that full extension. But again, once you adjust to the skate, of course, this is a part of the skate that's going to soften over time. But if I was to go down the custom route, which we're looking at doing, so hold tight for that video, I'm definitely going to go from a much more flexible tendon and also a thicker tongue. Those are really the only 2 areas that I'd love to see changed in the next pair of True skates that I'm going to be picking up. Now, with fit and comfort aside, taking a look at performance, These are, in terms of how they perform to some of the other skates that I've had, one area that I definitely noticed immediately stepping on the ice is going to be how the blade felt on the ice. For me, it felt like I had more blade contact with the ice, which was an adjustment period when I was pivoting or transitioning from going forward skating to backward skating, when I was stopping. It was just something that the first time I stepped on the ice with these skates, I could really feel. But similar to Tommy, but in reverse, he can pick up any stick and within 5 minutes, he's good to go. I'm like that with skates. Now, Tommy does not like changing skates. Once he finds his magic, he's happy with it. But I'm very happy to jump into any pair of skates from any manufacturer, and I can be pretty quick at being able to relay that information back to yourselves. But again, this is just something that you have to adjust to when you've been in the same manufacturer's skates, the same runners. It's just a quick adjustment period because you guys know the runners that I typically use. But once you adjust to that, it's something that then becomes something you don't even think about or consider while you're on the ice. Definitely worth noting that based on the profile that these skates have, when you step on the ice, it naturally is in a much more aggressive forward lean. But that comes down to the blade, which can be profiled to whatever profile you want, or you can switch the blade out for one that has a profile that you're much more used to. So that's not something that's unfixable. Every manufacturer has their own type of profiles that they like to apply to skates. It's just a case of tweaking that to see what works best for yourself. Now, in terms of how these compare with performance to some of the other skates, you guys know that I've spent a lot of time in Bauers, a lot of time in CCMs. It's really difficult to compare these because not only is the construction and the features that True incorporate into the skate different, it's also just the general build and shape and the way that the boot performs and feels on the ice. It's a completely different beast. These skates are very difficult to compare to the other brands because of how different they are. And that's not in a bad way, it's just different. It would be like going from driving a Range Rover to a Ferrari. They're both cars, but they are completely different things and they will feel very different for whoever's going to be using them. But it's definitely not different in a bad way because in hockey, you guys know that we see a lot of imitation in the game. Manufacturers now more than ever before, in terms of the products that they're making, are looking very similar to each other. And when you look at True, not only are their designs very different, whether you like them or don't like them, not only are their designs very different, in terms of their skates, the way that they construct a boot is completely different to what we see from the other manufacturers. So it's not different in a bad way, it's just different. It's nice to have a manufacturer that is doing something very, very outside to what the other brands are doing. And I feel like having looked at their top spec skate from the Catalyst range that's not from a custom perspective, because of course this is top spec from retail, but there's a level above this. The Catalyst 9 is technically below the Catalyst Pro, which is their retail skate from that particular family from True. So far so good, incredibly impressed. Value for money wise, I feel like this is a very, very big contender with some of the other manufacturers that are out there. Skates that have, you could say, similar kind of features, that have a similar kind of target audience in terms of who or what type of players the skate is being aimed towards. This is more aimed at your agile, maneuverable type of player. Now, when you compare this to the other manufacturers that are out there with their skates that are fitting a kind of similar player profile, the price point of these skates is incredibly surprising. The fit is incredibly surprising. In terms of the comfort, that is, from a retail perspective, something that's going to catch a lot of players off guard. And so far, just generally impressed overall with the performance, the comfort, the fit, and more importantly, the price of these skates. As always, guys, a big thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Make sure that you thumbs up and also subscribe so you can stay up to date with all of the videos that we post. And of course, comment down below and let me know what skate review, overview, or VS video you want to see next. Big thanks. Thank you for True for making this video possible, and we'll catch you in the next one.